Right then, summer shopping. What do we need and what are we going to get? And obviously, a lot could happen before we get to the summer transfer window. We have got the hopeful, imminent takeover, whoever that may be, that ends up as the new owners of Manchester United. We can only hope that they celebrate becoming Manchester United's new owners by having an absolute rager of a party all summer where they buy all the shiny things. Who are we signing? Everyone. So, owners, who will they be? Is it the Glazers giving us now? Is it the Glazers plus some shady hedge fund company? Is it the Q8 royal family? But not really. Is it Sir Jim Radcliffe and whatever's going on with that? We obviously don't know. In terms of the player form, if you're buying players right now, you've got some players in excellent form, some players in a downturn of form. Could that change? Is there anyone that's going to come in and make anything happen off the bench? Maybe anyone coming through the academy? Might you see Zidane make an impact and maybe change the plans going forward? Is there a striker hiding in the wings? Could we see Charlie McNeil go on a scoring run at Newport and make us go, actually, maybe we give this young kid a chance? Probably unlikely that we're going to think maybe we don't sign Osimhen because we've got Charlie McNeil, but you never know. These things can and sometimes do happen. Or is there a regular player that's been excellent going to drop his form off a cliff? I've just done a long watch video, so go and check that out if you want to know more about some of the youngsters that are on loan, and maybe there's a couple in there that can at least bolster the squad, if not come in and demand a first team place. So those caveats aside, because literally there's a million options on the table for us at the moment. Like any good club, United are going to have transfer plans hopefully in place well before now that we can just action as soon as the window opens, regardless of who our owners will be. And you would just hope that if it is someone else that comes in, that they can just pour a little gravy on top of what the club's plans were already going to be anyway, without completely changing the meal. So based on the situation and player form, this, that and the other is the considered options that I think United need to prioritise when looking to recruit this summer. Number one, a backup for Casemiro. If we could find a player with somewhere in a region of 100, 150 games experience that's just started to crest into like a bit of hype and a bit of form, I would look into having those come in. Casemiro's absence has really highlighted the importance we have in terms of when he's out of the squad, we look dreadful. But if we're building a title-winning side, you're going to have a backup for him. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. He's going to have the day off at some point, and we can't afford the quality drop-off roulette that we get when he doesn't feature. Simple as that. So if we're going to continue with the same tactical setup, you need someone of a holding midfielder that can come in and do a job. Or maybe an 8 that's a little bit more versatile. But defensive midfield, I think there's a few names that should be under consideration. And Bilal Hussein, 22, AIK Stockholm in Sweden. So the Premier League would probably be a big jump for him, but that's why he's a little bit of a curveball. He's also someone that will come in and learn off Casemiro without demanding that he starts every single week, because he's not going to start ahead of Casemiro just yet. But you would describe him as a high volume passer. Someone that sort of takes control, has got the tempo. That's the best attribute about him at the moment. He's a good passer, and he builds out from the back because he's got quick movement, intelligent positioning, and excellent passing. He's able to receive the ball in any situation. He's press resistant. He's got an excellent first touch. His passing is crisp, and he rarely needs more than a couple of touches to receive and release in possession. So that I like about him. That's an excellent attribute. You've just seen Chelsea sign Fofana straight from the Norwegian league. Could there be something in signing players from Scandinavia? It's quite an easy settle, Scandinavia to the UK. We've seen that happen time and time again. He's played twice for Sweden, making his debut in January this year. And I think he'd be quite a relatively cheap option. Next up, you got Declan Rice. This isn't my favourite cup of tea, in all honesty, because as someone who's going to be a backup, I don't want to spend in the region of 100 million, which is what David Moyes seems to say. I think he's massively overpriced. But in terms of what he offers, there's a lot of similarities in Declan Rice that we've seen defensively, and I would like to see what he could do more on the ball to see if he's capable of getting close to what Casemiro could do. He's expected to leave West Ham in the summer. He's been linked with Arsenal. He's been linked with Chelsea, which is hilarious because how are Chelsea signing any more players for the next 5 years? They've already done that shopping, surely. He's played in 100% of West Ham's minutes in the Premier League this season, so he could join the 50-game club alongside Bruno in terms of being availability, so that's a positive for him. Doesn't score or assist very often. He's got 2 goals, 4 assists, but he is experienced in the Premier League, and I think that's a massive factor that I would definitely be looking into with him. You've got Frankie De Young. Or have you? I think there's something in Frankie De Young. I don't think Ten Hag would embarrass himself by constantly going in for him if he wasn't getting the eyes off Frankie behind closed doors. I think all of the protestations have been about him trying to get himself out of the contract situation which he's found himself in at Barcelona. But the situation remains the same. Barcelona's financial issues, these are going to come round. Like, they're going to be a seasonal thing. The Barcelona annual fire sale. Because their finances are so fucked that this is going to happen every single year for them. They're going to be forced to sell their biggest asset. And if they're trying to get Messi in this summer, which there's a lot of talk they are, they're going to have to sell so many players. And Frankie's probably one of the most expensive, one of the easiest to flip. So I think that they could probably do that. Yes, there's talk he doesn't want to leave Barcelona. It might be true. It might be talk. It might be him trying to make sure he gets the maximum amount of money that he's owed on his contract rather than just saying, yeah, I'll leave. Oh, just donate it to the cat's home. Fuck it. So hopefully that's there's something in the relationship with Ten Hag and Frankie where Ten Hag's not going to embarrass himself. Like, does he look like the kind of guy, as stoic as he is, that's going to pander over a player? No. So I think the only reason that you're hearing any sort of talk is because it's doable. Otherwise, it's madness and I can't wrap my head around it. But 34 games, again, not massive in the goals and assists, but we know the quality is almost immeasurable. And you can't measure this kid in goals or assists, or you shouldn't. He's been playing a little bit more advanced for Barcelona this season, but we want what he brings. If he was filling in for Casemiro, he can cover as a DM, or he could start alongside him as an 8, and you could bring in somebody else off the side as well. I think Frankie would be very, very good. Again, the price on him and Declan Rice puts me off a little bit, but they're not the only options. I mean, I've given you 3 there, but there's literally dozens. Next up that I think Ten Hag has to bring in, and it's a right back. I expect Wan-Bissaka to be sold. And weirdly, Wan-Bissaka's probably been putting in better performances than Dalot of late, but I think it'll be Wan-Bissaka that gets sold. It seemed like Dalot was nailed on prior to the World Cup, but since the World Cup, Wan-Bissaka's almost playing over him, which suggests that Ten Hag's probably not convinced by either of them. And to be honest, I'm not necessarily convinced myself. And there's a lot of good options at right back as well, and ones that you could definitely get in. I think top of that list is probably Jeremy Frimpong. 22 years of age, perfect time to step up to a big club. He's in the 99th percentile for all sorts, progressive carries, successful take-ons, touches, non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG. He's an absolute stat monster. Was surprisingly dropped by Ronald Koeman, but it might be too much sauce for Ronald Koeman because he definitely has his chicken with no seasoning. And he's been dropped for this international break, but this is what he said. He said it's to do with the system. He's more of a right winger than a right back, and my right back has to be able to defend very well in the first instance. He's played too few games in a 4-man defence. Defending in particular raises doubts in me. I haven't seen what he's seen in that. I think he can defend very comfortably. This is not a Trent situation that we're looking at here. I don't think he's one that you're going to see getting exposed time and time again. But it's interesting that Koeman has said that. And maybe there is a little bit of truth to it. I'm sure he's not completely out of the mixer. But one that has been called up by Ronald Koeman is Denzel Dumfries. So, been linked with United since Ten Hag was appointed, really. And there's been sort of ongoing links more recently since about December. Now, another attacking player is in the top 10% 5 leagues for non-penalty XG, shots, progressive passes received, aerial duels, one which is a pretty good one. 24 games in Serie A, 1 goal, 6 assists. Both offer something different to Dalot and Wan-Bissaka when going forward, I think, it's fair to say. But when I look at the likes of players that we covered last year, the likes of Malo Gusto. I think the next all-round sort of right-back would probably be more like Dumfries than it would be Frimpong, potentially, in my opinion anyway. I think you're looking at two very attacking outlets in this front, and I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of feeling it. I am kind of feeling it a little bit. I think that United look to want to push from there. I think we want to dominate possession. I think if you dominate in possession, you can go with a little bit more advanced, a little bit more attacking as a right back, rather than a solid, just defensive monster, is what I reckon, at least anyway. And then finally, the most obvious position that United need to strengthen, and that's striker. I mean, Vegas has been all right. I think there's cult hero status in him. I think that he could definitely score a couple of goals in big matches for United, and we would enjoy them. But I don't think he's going to score the volume needed for him to be United's first choice. I'd keep him as a backup, but United need a big striker, someone with big shoulders to carry that United number 9 shirt. I spoke about Harry Kane already recently, and I think Harry Kane feels like an option. It feels like it's happening. I made a video looking at my worries with it being Harry Kane. The positives are there. See, it's obviously just a case of trying to look at the fuller picture. In a Sheringham style, he needs a trophy before the end of his career, and he's a proper 9. Someone that can link up with Rashford or Bruno or get on the score sheet himself. He's got 21 in 28 this season in the Premier League, which is good. It's just completely under the radar because of what Erling Haaland's done, which is unfortunate for him. And he's playing well. I could definitely see something like that happening this summer. Another one that we covered not too long ago, and I think an option that's probably seen as more of a budget option, but that might be something we have to do, unfortunately, and that's Matteo Retegui. We spoke about him not too long ago. He's a bit of a Kane regen, and it's funny because he's just switched his allegiance to Italy. He's currently on loan at Tigre from Boca Juniors, and he's Argentinian, except he's not, because now he's just declared himself for Italy due to his granddad. And it's interesting that we called him a Harry Kane regen, and that's what the Sun has just gone in their headline, is that he plays like Harry Kane. Is it a subscriber, do we reckon? Anyway, I did a scout report on him on the channel if you want to see that in more depth, but I think, especially if he comes and scores against England this week, you might see him a little bit more in the headlines and potentially even linked with us, because I think he is a genuine viable option. You've got Evan Ferguson, best young striker in the Premier League. I think it's safe to say, seen a lot more comparisons now with Wayne Rooney. 3 goals in 10 games at the age of 18 for Brighton is sensational work. Well done to him. And he looks like an experienced player. He plays like an experienced player. He's got quality and class on the ball. I've also done a case for Evan Ferguson video if you want to check that one out as well. You've got Osimhen. I mean, Napoli might rebuild their entire city, stadium and squad on the back of what they're about to get for the Georgian and for Osimhen this summer. Could be in for him. I think Napoli are going to go bananas on the price. I don't know if I want to play that. And then you've got Goncalo Ramos. So we watched him last season at Benfica. We did a scout report on him. I then watched him bag a hat-trick for Portugal right in front of me during the World Cup, which was awesome. He's got 24 in 36 this season. He's still in blistering form. I think he's another one that's probably going to have a lot of suitors for him, be ready to make the step up. And there's loads of other striker names being thrown around. I think United just need to be decisive with who we're going to get. Is it a Kane and Evan Ferguson combo? Whatever it is, Manchester United need to be sure-footed in what we're about to do here, because you get this right, it's going to deliver trophies, as we saw with Robin van Persie, as we've seen with other strikers that United have had over the years. Not recently, obviously. You get it right, it delivers trophies. Simple as that. A striker is the most important position in a pitch, because you nail that and you absolutely kill it. But that's my thoughts. Those are the 3 positions I'm prioritising. Let me know in the comments where you stack on those, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.